Hopefully this works, because I was playing around with a bunch of settings. I don't know if this is going to work or not. So, anyway, how goes it? I hope everybody's doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. I had a rough month. Personally, I know 4 people that died, and then DMX, As Dark and Hell is Hot, and Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood came out the same year. I think within the same calendar year. I was in like 7th grade. I was bumping it nonstop, both of those albums. I had 4 people pass away. The worst one was my aunt. My aunt died. My aunt Rosemary. She had I believe it's called pulmonary fibrosis. It's when your lungs they harden. She was my dad's sister. My mom and my dad each have 4 brothers and sisters. In my families, we haven't really had anyone pass away from my aunts and uncles and my mom and dad's generation down. Both my grandparents on my dad's side have passed away. My grandmom on my mom's side, she's still with us. She's fighting through it. She's not sick or anything. She's just fighting through getting old. You know, we've dealt with death before. Obviously, I've had a ton of people I know that died from overdoses. So much, in fact, that the other 3 that I know were all overdoses. I didn't really get too sad about it. You're like desensitized to it after a while. But she was the first person that died on my family side, and looking at my dad and the way he was reacting to it, it's like the realization that life is starting to wind down kind of a thing. Not in like a depressed way, just like a shock, you know? I know everybody knows time is finite. I guess when you get so comfortable to the way things are within your family, your friends and everything is just so comfortable, when it starts to, you know, get shaken up a little bit, it becomes a little disheveling. My dad, he was pretty quiet first few days. You know, he was visibly upset at the funeral. My Aunt Rosemary was a very sweet person. She was a good human being. She was always thinking about other people, and she just wanted to like be there and like care for people. I remember it was like 2012. I had moved to Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania. I moved there because I thought that, you know, I could get away from all the drugs and shit. And so I only went to rehab once, and I went in 2011. So this is like 6 months after I was done with that. My Aunt Rosemary and Uncle Don used to come into the place I worked at the time. I worked at a Applebee's over there in Westchester Pike. They stop in, just get some food and drinks. I was living over there, but I had to move back home to Jersey. And I couldn't really afford to get rid of the job just yet. I decided to start commuting. So I was commuting from Blackwood, New Jersey to Havertown, Pennsylvania, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, something like that. When she stopped in this one time, she was like, just so you know, my house is always open. I have a couch. If you ever need to stay, just come stay. And I never took her up on it. I never needed to, really. I mean, I guess I could have. I wasn't like stuck ever. I think that's the thing. I'll never forget that. I mean, I know she's family. I guess when like somebody dies, you think about somebody's legacy. What lasting impression did they leave on you? Usually it boils down to like a moment, like a certain moment that encompasses the whole person. And I think that was it for me. She'll be missed. She had my 4 cousins. They have kids. My Uncle Don said the thing that killed her the most was not being able to be there with her grandkids. And then you think about like, and then I think about like the other 3 people that I knew. So one of them was my friend Bill. Bill was an old friend of mine who I met through my friend Tommy. They were in a band together. I bumped into him at Applebee's, this other Applebee's I worked in Jersey. Got to talking. He asked me if they were hiring, so I got him a job there. Eventually, he actually lived with me and my other friends in West Philadelphia. It was like 2007, 8. Me and Bill, we only had a very short friendship. We were friends for about 3 years, but we got really close at that time, you know, to the point where, like, you know, he'd crash at my house a couple times a week. He was that friend that you have those, like, really deep late-night talks with. He got to be, like, one of those friends for a moment. We have some crazy stories, I'll tell you that. I'll probably tell someone here at some point. We got some wild stories, actually. We lost touch. You know, I was going off the deep end. He was kind of going off the deep end, I guess, too. He decided to go to the military around the same time that I decided to go to rehab. He actually got a dishonorable discharge because he was caught doing heroin in somebody's car with a friend of his that was also stationed with him when they were on, I don't know what they call that, I guess it's leave for the weekend. They were in the cars doing heroin, and MP came by and saw them, and they got dishonorably discharged. I talked to him a couple times since then, random times that he reached out to me. He seemed okay. I guess this is in hindsight, but when you speak to somebody and like there's like a overall kind of vibe or energy or demeanor to them, you got to see it, you got to recognize it. And looking back at it, he just seemed hopeless, not depressed, hopeless. You know, it's one of those things like you want to be there for people, but you can't be there for everybody. Especially with drugs, you got to do it yourself. He was an amazing guitar player. Amazing. Like, probably the best guitar player I've ever met. Savant level. He gave up, I guess. He couldn't see whatever that dream was come to fruition. He couldn't envision it, I guess, and he felt hopeless. Yeah, he overdosed a few weeks ago actually now. Yeah, I didn't even realize a month and a half went by since I posted my last video. A lot of stuff happened this month. The same day I found out Bill passed away, I found out that an old schoolmate of mine passed away. I went to school with him since 4th grade. This guy Mike. We weren't like super close in grade school. You know, around like junior, senior year, that's when, you know, whatever your clique was, like your people that you hung out with, it was, all that went out the window. Everybody just started hanging out together. His house was one of the houses that we partied at a lot. My other friends being right up the street. So I got to know him a little bit better then. I haven't seen him in forever. He said he bumped into somebody we knew that was working in Camden. They saw who they thought was Mike coming out of a abandoned building wearing only his Triton High School football varsity jacket, that's the high school we went to. And that was the only thing I heard about him until years later. It seemed like he was doing pretty good, and then I found out he passed away. I found out both of them on the same day. 2 days later, I found out about my aunt. And then the day after I found out about my aunt, it's kind of messed up how I found out about this other one. In my new endeavors, I started this business page on Facebook for my art. You hit select all and then invite like everybody on your friends list, whatever. And I guess what it does is if the account that you invite has some kind of a setting, like a restriction or whatever, it sends it back. But you won't see that until the next time you went back and did the invitations. I went back in to send some more invites. I wasn't sure if I had gotten everybody. So I look at this list, 15 names, and 14 of them were all people that I knew that died from overdoses. His accounts, were still up. And then there's this dude I knew, this guy Brendan. Brendan was a coworker of mine at first. He became my drug dealer, and then we became friends. And then he stopped being a drug dealer, and then he became my running buddy. A running buddy, for those who don't know, I guess the best definition would be it's a friend you have an understanding with, that you hit them up for drugs, they'll hit you up for drugs, you look for drugs together, and it increases your chances of finding drugs. So he was my running buddy for a little while too. I went and took care of myself, started taking care of myself. He did the same. He actually joined the Air Force. He started doing bodybuilding competitions. He was doing really well. I saw his name there. I'm like thinking about it, and I'm like, I haven't talked to him in a while. Let me see what's up. So I clicked his profile, and sure shit, he died 3 years ago. That kind of fucked me up. Not like in a sad way. It fucked me up in my head because I'm thinking like, how fleeting is time? It feels like just yesterday I was just hanging out with this guy. There it was, 10, 15 years later. And he died 3 years earlier. I know it doesn't make me a shitty friend or anything like that. We weren't really friends at that time. And yeah, life goes on. But I'm thinking about my aunt. I'm thinking about the way my dad reacted to my aunt. I'm thinking about the other people that died. And when I saw he died 3 years ago, I'm thinking how fleeting life is. Let me see if I can find this. There was a guy that I had a real quick exchange with on YouTube. The video, it was a speech by Anthony Hopkins about like the meaning of life. I guess it was like a reflection. This guy said, as I get older, I feel more peaceful. I think about death now with absolutely no fear. What could be more peaceful than that? I started thinking about it, pontificating and considering things, and I replied to him. I think I find the opposite. Actually, I wouldn't really say I fear death. I throw caution to the wind like it's my job. I think what I fear is the expiration of time. As I get older and people who feel like they were my age yesterday are passing away from age-related illnesses, then I look at my dad fighting through cancer while millions around the world are dying, and I find myself worrying about the day I won't be able to speak with him anymore. But in a way, becoming more aware of the unavoidable finality of time has helped me become a better friend and family member. I'm more present than I ever was. And I asked him what it is about getting older that he's experienced or thought about to learn to be at peace with death. He said, I'm retired now, and I feel that every single day is all the time I need. So when I get another day, tomorrow, it's always a bonus. I believe in reincarnation. It explains so much of this mysterious life, and it inspires you to live a good life and learn as many of life's lessons as you can this time around. The important people in my life now will be in my life in the next incarnation. That's a comfort. I believe in an afterlife where our souls reunite and we work out the plan for our next lives so that we can continue to learn the lessons our souls need to learn. And I know there is no hell. What is there to fear? Being present at your age is remarkable. Try to be the third person in your life. Watch yourself as you go through your day. Be aware of every word, every emotion as you interact with others or by yourself. It takes you to a whole new realm of being present. Take care. And it kind of stayed with me. I can't help but consider when I read that the topic of religion. I myself, I'm not religious. I was raised Irish Catholic. I went to CCD. I did all the we call them the rites of passage or whatever. I don't necessarily believe in a higher power, an entity, to be more specific, an entity. I do think I agree with him on the concept of reincarnation. It's funny how what he describes is a lot like what somebody might describe heaven as. Somebody's Christian or Catholic, but I know that's not how he meant it. But I guarantee you, he would not deny that what he speaks of is heaven. He just wouldn't say it is. We only have so much time. And if my thoughts of death are right, which is when you die, you just cease to exist on a conscious level. Like, we don't see this 3D world. We don't have emotions, we don't have thoughts. We don't even know we are present. We are not here. We're not conscious. But I have a version of reincarnation in my head. We have the theory of time and space and relativity. You have dark matter, which is there to hold it all together. This dark energy, this gray matter, it's just there. We know it's there, and you can't quantify it yet. But it's all there, and it all holds us all together. This whole existence, not just on Earth, in the whole universe. We come from stars. We all come from this little ember, little elements that just coalesced, and they came together. The universe flowered out, and then here we are. And I feel like if reincarnation is real, it may be a thing where you rebind with the universe. You're put out here, and then when you leave, you get put back into whatever this is. In which case, you would probably see another iteration of life, but you wouldn't be able to experience it because you're on a different plane of consciousness. So where was I going with all that? Honestly, I'm in an existential crisis, so I don't fucking know. Like I said, I'm not scared of death. I'll go do some crazy shit. I think I'm just so complacent and content with at least the relationships that I've built and then worked so hard to keep. I fear about the day that I won't be able to speak with my family anymore. And then I worry about the day that I won't be able to experience everything, what life is. And fuck, I was so gonna cry during this. Excuse me. I was told myself that if I would want to live forever. I would want to experience all the things that will happen after I die, just to see them and know what happens. You want to see the conclusion. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, I don't know if I really want to see the conclusion. Do I want to be here when the world ends? Do I want to be here when humans go extinct? However that may be. Probably artificial intelligence, but I don't want to be here for the end. In fact, I thought about it, and I don't want to be here past everybody. I don't want to have to experience that loss over and over and over again and build new relationships. And we're human beings. We need friendship. We need companionship. We need people in our lives. We need connection, communication. If I lived forever, instinctively, I would want to go seek out new relationships, new friendships. And then they would die, and then I would get sad about them again. And I don't know if I want to do that. Even if that gentleman was wrong, and there isn't another version of life or afterlife, and this is all we have, even that should be enough to make you want to live it to not only its fullest, but to the best of your ability, to be the best version of yourself that you can. Knowledge and love, and who knows what the fuck else we're looking for. We're looking for something, all of us. Some of us know what it is, some of us don't, but thing in life that you feel emotions for, they revolve around people. And I know people say like people suck and they do right now. They kind of do. But without people, this life would not be worth living. Period. You will contemplate death and life forever, for as long as you live. It's just part of us. I'm learning how to deal with death little by little. I'm getting there. I just wanted to say also thank you for all your comments on the last video. They mean a lot. They really do. It encourages me to do this more. I'm sorry if I have some gaps in time between one video and another. I haven't made a schedule. I'm not really a schedule guy at all, but I'm trying. Anyway, thank you again, and I'll be back real soon. Good night, guys.